Now I've worked with over 6,000 properties globally. I can tell you right now, there are 10 mistakes I see hosts making again and again, and that is literally killing their Airbnb business and they don't even realize it. Now, by watching this video, you will get really to protect your business from making those mistakes that actually is costing you a lot of time and money. Over the last 8 years, I've realized I've made a lot of mistakes along the way in business. I've learned a lot, but also at times I've learned from other people's mistake that has saved me a lot of time and had made me more money. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what a solid Airbnb business looks like in 2026. Now, I want to also talk about what happens inside a great Airbnb business, and we will deconstruct it into 10 great points. I'll tell you about my top clients, the best processes and system, and as a result, I will also share you and how to get more bookings as a direct result of it. You know what works with 1 or 2 properties? Sometimes I've seen it with 5 or 10 properties becomes an absolute disaster. Now, you must protect yourself from making these mistakes because look, for me, it's all about making sure that you guys succeed and actually grow your business properly. And in some cases, when I do my one-to-one weekly calls with my clients at Grow Airbnb, one common discussions that we have, it's like, Piers, there is so much to do in this business, which I wasn't told before I started. And it is so true. But as you grow and business needs attention, I want to make sure that you understand how to fix this problem before it's too late, because going into 2026 markets, it's only going to get more competitive. So look, let me jump straight into the 10 biggest mistakes that kills your Airbnb business in 2026. Now look, I will start with the most kind of boring and the obvious one. And as we go further into the video, I would like to make sure you understand it's going to be different and more interesting. Now, mistake number 1 is having instant booking turned off. If you watch my recent video, you probably know this, that instant booking turn on is not an optional anymore in 2026. And I've seen a lot of my clients or potential clients have lost a lot of bookings because Airbnb's algorithm is fully prioritizing instant booking right now. I've seen this happen with so many of our clients, and all of a sudden when they turn on the instant booking feature, and within 2 weeks, we've now seen that like massive jump and increase by 20 to 30% on bookings sometimes. And look, if you're still doing it manually, proving every single bookings in 2026, you're probably going to struggle massively. And the whole idea here is Airbnb wants to make booking as easy as possible for the guest. And if you're making guests wait for approval, they are just going to book somewhere else. Now think about it this way. If you've been running an Airbnb business for a year or 2 and you are still not using instant booking turn on, what does that tell to Airbnb? It tells you are not a serious host providing a good guest experience. So look, over 20% of hosts I speak to don't have it turned on instant booking. And when I ask them, they say, Piers, I'm worried about the bad guest. In reality, you've got screening process. And look, if you are a good host, you know how to do it. You've got house rules. Yes, it does matter if you've got strict plan and you can still work with Airbnb. But look, 99% of the time, that is not the real problem. It's just fear. I have some hacks I've learned this year, which we use with Grow Airbnb clients for longer term bookings only. And we do turn off the instant booking, but we know how to get those 28 nights booking. Please make sure you're ranked on first page. It works absolutely wonder. And you know, if you understand how to manage your calendar daily, that is the way to move forward. And by the way, sometimes the fear costs you thousands of pounds in lost bookings. So mistake number 2 is terrible photos. I can't stress this enough. Your photos are number 1 thing that gets people click your listing. Now, if you've got dark, blurry photos like taken by iPhone, by the way, nowadays you can get great photos from iPhone. Like it could be like 5 years from today, you've done that. It's not going to work. I've seen this happen many times when operators got the most beautiful property, but their photos are terrible. And look, sometimes it could be you just attracting a contractor, and that's where you're not getting any bookings. So let me take a bad photo, turn into a better photo using ChatGPT, and I just want to show you quickly, and you can see how you can prompt ChatGPT to do it. So as you can see, I took this listing off Airbnb, and it is dark. It's got brown sofa. It's got, you know, the whole thing doesn't look that great. So now I've used ChatGPT with a prompt just to get the photo a little bit brighter, and that could make a massive difference on when you put it on a cover photo on the searches. You can really see that makes a huge difference. Now, by the way, you can also add some logos, you can do whatever you want, and that is a little hack that takes you less than 20 seconds. The reality is guests are making decisions in about 3 to probably even 5 seconds. And look, when they're scrolling through your listing, and if your photos like don't grab their attention, they're probably going to move on to the next property. And I've personally done it, the time I booked Airbnbs. Now, the problem I find is hosts think that just because they've taken 20 photos, that's enough. But eventually, guys, quality matters more than quantity, right? I'd rather you take 10 amazing professional photos than 30 average ones, because look, your guests are looking at hundreds of other properties, and if your photos don't stand out, you are basically invisible on the platform. Now look, invest on professional photos. It is not expensive anymore. You can literally get amazing photos done for probably 150 to 300 pounds in the UK, and that investment will literally pay off in the first month itself. Now, just because you're going to get more bookings and more engagement and probably even better guests. Now, mistake number 3 is ignoring your pricing strategy. Now, this is one I see a lot and all the time. Hosts set their price too high, get no bookings, or they set it too low and they're fully booked but not making any profit. Now, if you've heard of profit pricing, it generally works wonders, especially on low season. Now, I've worked with so many clients who's come to me and they say, Piers, look, I get loads of bookings, but I barely break even. And I'm like, okay, well, look, let's look at your pricing. And 9 times out of 10, they probably set a flat rate and they've never changed it, right? And the problem here, or the challenge there, is pricing needs to be dynamic, but especially in 2026. By the way, having a 5-minute session on pricing daily, even manually, can literally be better than just setting a flat rate and you forgetting about it. So look, you can't just set one price and hope for the market to work, because the market is ever changing every single week, depending on there's demand, seasonality, all of these things will literally affect what you can charge on that month. Now look, you can have it all checked and changed, but more importantly, you need to understand what we call your break-even number, which is probably most operators, they don't even know and they don't understand. Look, let me take you through this. If you're charging £100 a night and your break-even, for example, is like 80 after every expenses, you're only making £20 profit per night on that booking. Now factor in all your effort, your stress. Is it worth £20? Now, probably not. So you've got to make sure that you're either using a dynamic pricing tool or you're manually adjusting pricing based on the demand. You need to make sure you don't forget about it, because you need to go back and check it depending on the season, the month, and if you want to be highly profitable in 2026. Now, mistake number 4 is not responding to your guests quickly. Now, I touched on this in my algorithm video, but let me be clear. You are not responding to a guest inquiries within an hour. You are guaranteed losing bookings. Airbnb tracks your response time, and if you are slow to reply, they will literally bury your listing in the searches. And I've seen clients lose superhost status just because they were taking too long to respond. And look, life goes in the way. I've always said, you're working full time, you've got kids, I totally understand. But look, that badge literally drops you from, maybe even 10 to 20% on booking. And yes, by the way, I do say to any of my clients, if you work with me, I don't really care about superhost badge, because we can get you on top ranking regardless, because there's other things that can actually help you do that favor. And by the way, look, this is not just about initial inquiries, it's also about responding guests during their stay. Now, if a guest messages you at 10 p.m. with a problem, you don't reply until the next day or the next morning, that is bad review waiting to happen. So again, for me, you know what? I recommend to all my clients, it's either set up a notification on your phone, or you basically get a little AI chatbot to handle that initial response to say, look, we're dealing with it, we'll come back to you shortly. Now, even if you're asleep, that would work wonders. Now look, mistake number 5 is not having a proper cleaning team that you can trust. Now, this might sound basic, by the way, but you'd be shocked at how many hosts are still relying on unreliable cleaners who's let them down last minute. I've seen this happen every single month in our industry, where a host has got a checkout at 11 o'clock, a check-in at 3 p.m, and their cleaners cancel 2 hours before the check-in. What do you do at that point? You're either doing it yourself, which is stressful, or you're scrabbling to find another last-minute cleaners who's probably going to charge you double the amount. The reality is, if you don't have a backup cleaner or a proper cleaning system, you are literally one cancellation away from disaster. And we've seen it happen to even long-term booking clients. And I always tell my clients to have 2 cleaners, make sure you can rely on them, and have a clear checklist that they can follow every single time, and make sure you are inspecting the property when possible, because your one bad clean leads to one bad review, and that one bad review can literally kill your bookings for months. Now, mistake number 6 is over furnishing, or sometimes even under furnishing. Now, I see this all the time. Hosts go to IKEA and probably spend like £4,000 to £5,000 literally filling every single corner of the property. And I've also seen the opposite way, where literally bare bones set up with just a bed and a sofa. Now, both approaches are completely wrong. Now, in 2026, guests literally wants to go into a property that feels like home. Now, I've stayed in a lot of property recently on Airbnb, and I know there's certain things I look at. It's stylish. I don't want it to look like a furniture showroom. I want it more homely, and guests really wants to feel comfortable, but also I don't want it to be too basic, right? So you can literally see who is going to be a professional host and who is not a professional host. So the key here is you need a good balance. You want to make sure you have enough furniture that the space looks functional and it's nice and relaxing, but not so much that it feels very cluttered. And by the way, invest in quality over quantity. A good sofa and literally a good bed will give you 20 great reviews than just getting IKEA furniture and leaving it. So again, guys, think about what your target guest is. What actually do they need? If you're serving a contractor, you need a zip and link bed. If you're going for luxury market, you need something else. But don't just buy stuff and because you think you should have it. So mistake number 7 is not optimizing your listing based on guest behavior. Now look, I have seen this happen a lot of time in our industry, and something I talk about it every single day to our clients, that hosts completely overlook. They just write basic title like a cozy flat London or cozy flat in Dubai and wonder why they're not getting as many clicks. The reality here is your listing title is one of the most important factor in whether someone's going to click that listing or not. Now, if your title is like boring and generic or doesn't highlight what makes your property unique, you're losing booking before even somebody go and check your photos. Now, if you don't have a system where you ask every single host their reason to stay in your property, in your location, you are literally missing thousands of pounds on research and development. And that info is gold for marketing. So what you need to do is write a title that actually grabs attention, right? And highlights like best features, includes keywords that guests are searching for. So for example, look, if you're writing, let's say cozy flat in London, versus you could write with offer, probably even features, probably even location, and even guest types, the people that's going to come and stay in your property. So look, that title tells guests exactly what they're getting, why they should click on your listing. The same goes for your description. Most hosts just write a paragraph or 2 and call it a day. But your description should be selling your property. It should be highlighting all the best features and explaining why your location is great and making guests feel excited about staying at your property. So guys, I hope you're enjoying this lengthy video, but it's very important that you guys understand all of this factor makes a huge difference. So look, mistake number 8 is not asking for reviews. Now, reviews are everything in the Airbnb and short-term rental business, and yet so many hosts don't actively go and ask their guests for reviews. Now, if you're sending a message after checkout thanking your guests for staying staying and politely asking them for a review, you are literally missing out on potential reviews, but also future bookings. But also the hack goes along the way. Look, if you have a Trustpilot account, the gold move is having the system where you go and ask them to give you a direct review, which will, as a result, help you on more direct bookings. Look, the reality is most guests won't leave you a review, and unless you ask them, and the more reviews you have, the higher you're going to rank in the search results. So every single guest that checks out should get a message within 24 hours. And look, I would even recommend you sometimes do it manually. Send them a WhatsApp and literally say to them, thank you so much for staying. We're a small business. I would love your review, right? Makes a huge difference. And by the way, that is exactly why it helps your guest give you a review. Also send them a link. If you've got a Trustpilot, send them a link to the review. And just by mentioning we're a small business, people love helping small businesses. Now, I've seen clients double their review rate by just implementing the strategy that I have just mentioned to you. Now, mistake number 9 is not tracking your monthly figures. Now, this is a big one that separates successful host from struggling host. Now, if you don't know your occupancy rate, your average nightly rate, or your revenue per night, and also your margin, because come down to 50% occupied. If you're not break even, you need to know all this figure. And I ask my clients all the time, look, what's your occupancy rate as of today? They generally go, oh, let me go and check my channel manager. The likely chances are, guys, if you haven't checked every single day, you do not know your figures. As a result of that, most operators who do well are always on top of them. They just know they have had some bookings. They think they're doing okay. But in reality, if you think you're not tracking your number, you have literally no idea about what's actually profitable or not. You might be 90% occupied, but if you're charging too low, you are literally losing money. Or you might be charging high prices, but only getting 30% occupied, which means you're basically losing money in the table just because you're not being able to track your revenue. So the key here is track everything, track your bookings, track your revenue, track your expenses, and most importantly, track your profit. Look, you're one accountant bill away at the end of the year, and your profit will be slashed by 20 to 30%, which you never accounted for. Because at the end of the day, this is a business. And if you are not making profit, what's the point? And again, I recommend using maybe a simple spreadsheet, probably even a CRM software to check all and track all your kind of key metrics, and definitely review them every single week, right? And more importantly, the end of month report. Now that way you can spot problems pretty early and you can fix them before they even kill your business. And guys, lastly, the final mistake, and which is the number 10, is trying to do everything yourself. And this is the biggest mistake I see, especially with hosts who have 3 or more properties. They think they can handle all the guest communication, the cleaning, the pricing and marketing, all the operational legals, all of this themselves. And for a while, don't get me wrong, they can, but eventually you will burn out. Now, I've seen this happen so many times. A host starts out managing everything themselves and they are doing great for 6 months and maybe a year, but then they hit a wall. Look, they are exhausted, they are stressed, and they're not enjoying the business anymore. And you might be one of them who's watching this video. Look, that's where the booking starts to drop because they just can't keep up with everything. The reality is, if you want to scale past 3 properties, you need help. Now look, that could be a VA, that could be a cleaner, that could be a property manager, but you can't do everything yourself forever. So for me, again, I always tell my clients, as soon as you hit that 3 property, start building a team. Even if it's a VA who's going to work with you 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, literally focusing on revenue generating activity, that will free you up your time to focus on things that actually makes you money, finding properties, working with your VA to optimize your listing rather than you having to sit down and do it. And look, that will improve your guest experience. And these are the 10 biggest mistakes that will kill your Airbnb business in 2026. Now look, I know that was a lot of information, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to go through the list and honestly ask yourself, which of these mistakes are you making? Pick the top 3 that are affecting your business the most, and let's fix those first. You don't have to fix everything at once, but you do need to take action, because the host who implements these changes are going to be the one who's going to literally succeed in 2026 while everyone is currently struggling. So guys, thank you so much for watching another Grow Your BNB video. Look, if you found this helpful, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want me to personally review your Airbnb listing and tell you exactly what needs to fix, comment below or send us a message. Now, we work with clients all over the world, helping them avoid these mistakes. And if you look at our Trustpilot review, we've got over hundreds 5-star reviews from hosts literally just like yourself. And the reason why is we are passionate to grow your business. We focus on fixing these mistakes before they become like a major issue. Now, look, if you're serious about succeeding with your Airbnb in 2026, make sure you follow me on Instagram at PiersBK or our company page at Grow Your BNB, where I literally share daily updates and strategies and behind the scene. Now, look, I work with so many clients and they talk about us, and I want you guys to be helped. Thank you so much for watching another Grow Your BNB video, and I'll be back with another video soon.